All right, so this time the LIEs. All right, this is the ENTJ equivalent in Socionics. The LIEs are your practical, accomplishing kind of go-getters of the NTs. So this is a type that are usually more on that nerdy NT side, but they're much more pragmatic. They can look a little bit like ESTPs sometimes because of how intense and practical and to the point they can sometimes be, especially when they're a bit older and they're kind of accomplished more things. So starting off with them, what makes them practical? Well, they lead with TE. TE is often referred to as pragma, okay, practicality. So it's thinking about the facts, learning about what actually is real in the world, what are the facts, what's true, what's been proven to work, what doesn't work, what's useful, what is applicable. And this is an important distinction because they can be kind of NT nerd-ish, but they're far more interested in what is applicable, what is practical and useful. The other NTPs may be interested in theory, getting into quantum mechanics and the possibility of trans-dimensional travel between different beings and blah, 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 and get into all that kind of stuff, or just learning about other things in general, but they don't necessarily care whether it's applicable. Can I use it in some way to make money, to get a job, to help somebody, to do something? Can I use it? Your LIEs are thinking about how can I use this information? Is it useful or is it not? If it's not useful, then I don't really want to pay much attention to it. This can happen a lot if you're looking at schoolwork or something like that, let's say, and you're looking at schoolwork and you're seeing in the textbook information in there and you're thinking, what information in here is actually useful to what I need? It's useful to the job I'm going to do. It's useful to the test I'm going to take. It's useful somehow. And what information is not useful? I don't care. It doesn't matter. Just get rid of it. It's just extra crap in the way, right? They're very focused on what is useful, what is applicable. And that's kind of what they mean with the pragma. Now, this type has secondary NI, okay? NI in the creative function. So that means that they're also looking ahead or looking in the past. They're probably somebody who's interested in how things are done in the past. They may be interested in history. They may be interested in where things are likely to go. There's somebody who's going to make their plans. They want to take those applications and see, okay, where is this going to go? Is this going to be useful to me down the line or is it not? Is this something that's going to be leading somewhere or not? Is it significant? Big word there. Is this somehow it's going to be significant to me or significant to the world? This is a type doesn't want to do jobs that they're going to perceive as brain dead, right? There's some careers and jobs out there that's it's just a job. It pays bills, but it has no personal meaning in any way. You feel like what you're doing there is meaningless to the world. It just nobody cares. You could be replaced, doesn't matter, right? So there's no significance to it. So this is a type that's often working very hard to achieve significance in what they do. That could be trying to climb the ladder at work where they become an important person, a high-ranking individual in something, or it could mean working on a project that they feel is going to be very impactful to the world or to people in some kind of way. Or it could be something impactful just to them. There's something about the work itself that is meaningful to them in a more personal way. Usually it's going to be more like towards the world kind of view. It's a little bit bigger than that. Some people will throw somebody like a Jeff Bezos or something like that as an example of an LIE, and he is somebody who, whether you like him or not, he built an empire of a corporation that produces practical stuff, meaning it ships things to people's houses that people want and need and they use to get by and so on. It's practical. It's not we're gonna go to Jupiter because we want to colonize, We're going to go to Mars because we want to colonize Mars. It's very impractical. It's a different mindset. All right, kind of getting off a little bit on there. As a demonstrative function, LIEs are going to have NE. So LIEs are going to be very good at NI and NE. Okay. So they're going to be very interested in looking around at other things going on in the world, other ideas, new changes going on in the world, new changes in technology, new changes in business. So anything going on, any other ideas or concepts out there that could potentially affect what that LIE is interested in, affect how they apply their information, maybe update their information, learn something new that you can use, they're going to be very attentive to that. They're going to be looking around. What else is going on in the world? What else have I not seen yet? What other ideas could you do? They're going to encounter these new ideas and they're often going to see, okay, I see where you're going with this idea. How can I use that? Is that applicable to me? Can I apply that to what I'm already doing or what I'm already interested in or not? Um, an example that comes to my mind right now for someone like myself who's military, shocking, uh, I want to pay attention to things going on in the war in Ukraine. I want to see what's going on there because I want to see what is the latest tactics being used, what's the latest weapons and stuff being used, what else is out there that's new and different I haven't heard of yet. What's the new tech? You're going to use the NE, right? You want to use that NE so that you can now apply it to your knowledge base and what is important to you. It's practical usage of looking things around and stuff. Very proactive. All right, so moving on. So you're going to then have in the mobilizing position, you're going to have SE. So it's mobilized. It's further down the line. Okay, it's the sixth function in Socionics. It would be third in MBTI. And the SE means that you have a certain desire to challenge yourself, to prove yourself, to go out for things that are hard and conquer them. Okay, you want to also get better in the physical world. You want to empower yourself a little bit. So this could take the form of, in some cases, individuals trying more physical stuff to get stronger physically, to challenge themselves in some way, do obstacles, do things physically that are hard and kind of prove to yourself, look, I can do it. I did it. It could also take the form of developing confidence. This is a big one. Confidence over time. So LIEs are kind of known to be a type that is perhaps kind of more classic nerdy when they're young, doing more of your typical NT-ish, bookwormy learning kind of things. They might be a little distant, a little cold when they're younger. But as they get older, they start to develop that SE more and they become more confident, more assertive, more pushy with people, more telling people kind of where to go and what to do. And this just comes in the form of confidence. They have now reached a place where they've gotten so much knowledge, skilled at various things. They've begun to prove it to themselves and they realize, I know what I'm doing. I definitely am sharp on this. I might know more than this than everybody else in the room anyway. And so now, because of that confidence, they become much more assertive and more willing to kind of push people around a little bit. This is where they start to seem a little more like an ESTP. With that assertiveness, that intensity. So with this SE, combined with their dominant TE function, that makes them seem very impulsive, very impatient, very, I want to get this done as quickly as possible in a practical way and move on. And I don't have time for people bullshitting around. I don't have time for people who are incompetent. I don't have time for people in the way. Let's get it done, make it happen. And at this point, you're assertive that you know how to make it happen, how to organize others to do it. So this is where, again, the ENTJ LIE can become very, very pushy, very assertive, and starts to look a lot like the ESTP, as I said. All right. So That was the mobilizing. The suggestive function is going to be FI. This is the fifth position in socionics. This basically means that the LIE values their personal relationships with people. They want to have closer relationships. They want to maintain those relationships, especially with the people they want, but they often struggle to do it. So it's very common for LIEs to be kind of introverted or seem rather introverted on a social level because they spent most of their life struggling to kind of socialize with people and get the kind of quality, close relationships that they've always wanted. But that's key. They've always wanted it. They value the FI. And when they do get those relationships, they value them. They treat them well. They're usually very loyal and can be very attentive to those people. And are very discerning about who they choose to bring into their life. So LIEs are going to be looking at people and evaluating them for who they are. What's your character? Can I trust you? Do you have the competency that I like to see and admire? Are you a level-headed person? Are you a crazy person? They're doing that when they meet people. And it might take them a little bit of time to sort of figure it out where they stand with someone. But once they have a good feeling about somebody, once they've made a good connection with somebody, they tend to be very loyal and consistent with that person, or try to be. They will slip up every now and again. They're not always so attentive to the relationship because FI is low in their in the function stack. It's not the priority, right? It's much lower down. So they're not as good at it as the ESI is, or the EII, or those others who have FI much higher up. This is one of the reasons why they tend to be drawn to feeler types, especially technically they're supposed to be drawn to the ESI as like their dual, maybe even an EII. But really they could be drawn to anybody who probably is just better than them at the feeling stuff and provide the LIE with that social feeling grace. Okay. This now ties into their role function, which is FE. FE, it's in the role position. So really the LIE doesn't want to do this. Your role function is kind of like the social role you take on. You basically realize that, hey, in life, I need to do certain things. I need to deal with certain things. I don't really like to do it. I don't want to do it, but like I kind of have to do it from time to time. So often we imagine the idea of that hardworking CEO, high-ranking person, maybe somebody who's kind of a little bit more experienced. They've aged a little bit. So they're somebody in their 30s, 40s, whatever. High-ranking individual who doesn't want to deal with the social stuff. They don't want to deal with shaking hands and being nice to people and trying to fit in with the mood with people. They want to do that, but they realize they kind of have to for business sakes, for your job's sake, or just sometimes maybe you're around the family and you realize, hey, I need to mingle with people and be nice and so on. So I'm going to be nice and I'm going to learn some jokes. I'm going to learn some social humor. I'm going to do a few things and do what I got to do. Depending on the specific background that LIE has, if he's done some things, if he was in theater, like I was, if he was in other highly social environments, that he may learn social skills better. He may learn how to be a little more charming, more sociable, and all those other things. And so he might actually do pretty well at the socializing stuff, but he can't handle it forever. Okay, he's only going to be able to do it, or she. I keep saying he. I'm sorry, but they're only going to be able to do it for a little while before they just kind of want to get back to their primary mode. And the primary mode is TE. TE and FE are mutually exclusive. They don't cooperate. When one is on, the other has to be off. Why? TE is all about the facts. This is how it works. This is how you do it. It's very dry and to the point. That kind of goes against the FE moods, feelings. We're not interested in that. So we have to turn off TE in order to deal with FE. But we like TE. That's what we're about. So we don't want to turn off TE for very long to deal with this FE stuff. Again, this is another reason why LIEs are probably just going to be drawn to feeler types. In my opinion, any of the strong feeler types, because they can help us bridge the gap with all the feelings that we don't want to deal with, that we're not as good with. They come to us with that feelings, or they can deal with people and provide the social stimulus that we want without us having to create it. They create it for us. So that's important. So that's the role function. And then finally, we get to the absolute worst function, the vulnerable function, polar, which is going to be SI. So I've heard this described a few different ways for SI. Some say it's just the LIEs can't take care of themselves. Like they're just workaholics and they're gonna maybe become hypochondriacs who think they're suffering from things all the time or don't realize that they're falling apart. I have to disagree a little bit with that. I think it's more of you're not really concerned with relaxing and resting. Like you just don't notice it. So people who maybe want to go to the beach and just kind of sit there and tan, they just want to relax, whatever. People who want to just lounge about the house, people who enjoy long vacations, sitting around on the cruise ship and just staring at the ocean and stuff like that. To an LIE, that just feels like dying. It feels so boring. It's boring, is what it really is. And they don't want to do it. So an LIE, instead of like relaxing like that, the LIE is gonna find something to do. They're gonna go read, they're gonna go work out, they're gonna go talk to some other people, they're gonna go check on stuff, they're gonna do anything but relax. They don't want to do that. So um, the LIE is gonna avoid sleep. I think that's a common one. They're not gonna be sleeping. They're gonna be working on something, or they're gonna be doing something when they're supposed to be sleeping. You should be going to bed now. You know you should be going to bed now because you have that meeting, that thing in the morning, and you're just going to ignore it. You're going to be talking to somebody, watching something on your phone, reading something, whatever. And so you're not getting the sleep that you need. Um, you might go without eating a little bit too, just very not worried about it. And this could be negative in that after a while, this has its issues, right? You you start breaking down. You know, if you don't sleep, you go a good week or two and you're just only sleeping a few hours here and there and your sleep schedule's everywhere, that's going to start to affect your work. And then you're going to start to wonder why, right? So that is an issue. Um, that's usually where I find it. Uh, Other types, other the NTPs, a good way to distinguish them. The NTPs and the Alpha Quadra, they tend to like SI stuff. They tend to appreciate being taken care of, getting some nice rest, comforting stuff, good food, all that. Having someone cook for them, you know, being mommy, they like that. LIEs don't care, and that's a good distinguish. LIEs are just pretty much indifferent to any of that stuff. They don't want to be taken care of. Um, Very gamma quadra values. Gamma quadra is about independence and self-sufficient and accomplishment. So the LIEs want to accomplish things. They want to be self-sufficient. They don't want to be taken care of. That is not interesting to them. They don't find it attractive. So for potential romantic partners who want to take care of you, feed you, you know, be nice to you in that kind of warm way. Like we LIEs just don't really care. We're sort of indifferent to that. It's not what we're looking for at all. We don't mind it, but it just doesn't get you any real points. All right. I did forget one, which is the ignoring function. My bad. The ignoring function is so if we're TE dominant, then that means that you're ignoring TI. By the ignoring function, it kind of means it's something we just don't really care about it. We don't prioritize it. Again, we want application. How is this information that I'm learning useful, applicable? What am I going to do with it? What can others do with it? How could I break it down to its most useful components? And so all the extra theory, all the other details that we think are not important, we're going to ignore that. We're just kicking it off to the side. Takes too long. It's too slow. It's superfluous information. We don't care. Now, at times, we'll deal with it if needed, which is what you do with an ignoring function. If you need it, you realize, okay, I got it, then you'll do it. But you'll go right back to using your TE as soon as you can, back to being applicable and useful and doing something productive. What else could I say with the ignoring function? This is kind of another thing where your LIEs can look a little like ESTPs, as I mentioned, but it may be a bit of a giveaway that they do get into a lot of so-called nerdy stuff, intellectual things. They can hang with the nerdy types, the NTPs who want to talk about astrophysics stuff and weird quantum mechanics and quantum biology. You know, like we can get into all that. We can find it interesting. Okay, we will kind of pay attention to it, but we just don't get excited about all that theory. To us, after a little while, we're like, okay, but what are you going to do with it? Now what? What's next? That's our attitude towards it. That's different. Okay. So that pretty much sums up the LIEs. Again, we're often described as CEOs, businessmen, field marshals, generals, whatever. And a lot of that's because of that combination of sort of a smarts with a certain assertiveness, an intensity that is a little bit similar to, again, what you see with SLEs, the ESTPs. We have a certain hard-working drive where we never stop. That TE is constantly looking for more information, more application, more things that we can do, and we don't care about SI. So we don't care about resting and relaxing. We care about what's next. What are we going to achieve now? Now what are we going to do? So that makes us very good at accomplishing things, but not so great at resting and relaxing. LIEs as gamma quadra types, unlike alphas, we're not nice and warm. We don't come across that way, at least not off the bat. So that's another way you could tell the difference. We tend to speak in more harsh terms a lot. We tend to really evaluate things as working, not working, good, not good. We'll make comments critical of people, saying this person's a moron, that person's an idiot, this thing over here isn't working, these people over here don't know what they're doing. We're much harsher in that sense. So that's where we're definitely not like deltas, and we're definitely not like alphas. Betas can be kind of harsh too. So we have that a little bit more in common. But as gamma quadra types, we tend to be a little more individualistic, more lone wolfing it, kind of doing our own thing a bit more. Very independent minded. So we're usually a type that doesn't really hang out with groups of people very much. We're not really joining organizations and things and trying to be part of the team. It's not as interesting to us. We're much more interested in making individual connections with people that we value, that we think are important in some way. Whether it's because we admire them, we think they're competent, interesting people doing good things, or there could be somebody that we personally admire, our FE likes them, and so we're close to them and whatever. And so we're dealing with people more on an individual case-by-case basis. I like that person. I like this person. I like that over here. I like that person there. I'm doing this with this, and that's it. It's very individualistic. It's not about being part of some kind of group and community. Yeah, so we're usually going to be harsher than your other NTPs. As I said that already. That's another way to tell the difference. The NTPs can be a lot more fun and warm and almost dorkish in a classic sense, kind of geeky in that way, but generally nice. And your NTJs usually don't sound so nice. However, in reality, your NTJs, if we like you, and you might not always, you probably know. I mean, we'll probably tell you really. Once we like you, we're some of the most loyal people. We're very, very there for you. much more so than most other types. And many NTJs, even though they come across a little cold, a little not so, we can be very kind people. Now, we're the type to maybe bitch you out because you did something stupid, and we'll tell you that. But we're still there to help you. We're still there to go out of our way to come help you. All right. So, okay, so that's pretty long. That's a LIE for you. I think we pretty thorough there. So let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.